what happens when those things are no longer able to be nimble enough to deal with that threat of something that is smaller, that is cheaper, that is based on AI, that is easier to deploy, it's easier to hide. And yeah, drone versus drone would work, but that's assuming that you have your drones ready to defend against the other drones. In January of 2025, new regulations took effect that restrict U.S. investments in China's artificial intelligence, semiconductor, and other advanced technology sectors. The measures stem from advancements China has made in the militarization of AI. A 2019 State Council white paper on national defense revealed intelligent warfare as a core component of the People's Liberations Army, PLA, modernization effort. In 2022, President Xi Jinping called for the accelerated development of unmanned, intelligent combat capabilities, of which AI is an essential element. As Oxford Analytic notes, in warfare, developing unmanned systems is one area upon which the country has placed significant emphasis. China has developed a series of intelligent unmanned vehicles, platforms, and weapons, such as the Kai Hong, who knows if I said that correctly, a series of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones, and Lookout 2, an unmanned missile boat. This week, the Chinese AI consumer platform DeepSeek was unveiled, shocking the tech world with its advanced capabilities and low cost, immediately shaving hundreds of billions off the market cap of the American chip company NVIDIA, which makes chips for other AI platforms. How concerned should we be about China's advancements in AI? And I'm curious your thoughts with that on the advancement and accelerating pace of drone warfare. And by that, I'm not talking Predator Reaper. I'm talking, for a term that people can understand, like DJI-sized drones, consumer-sized drones.
I'm not, whenever I think about China as a military power, I'm not as worried. What I think about is who they're going to sell this stuff to. That's more of what it is. I don't think the U.S. is worried about China's Navy or their Army or they're not worried about their military capability. There's not a lot of, if you think about China, we have such a symbiotic relationship with them. It's very different, like, say, than someone like Iran. But China, we have a very symbiotic relationship with. And there's no profit motive in actually going to war with China. I mean, if they invaded Taiwan, we'd have to make some kind of a stand. And Taiwan's been getting ready for this for a long time. And certainly China has its sphere of influence and would do whatever it could to sell these drones wherever it could, blah, blah, blah. But I think that, for example, this new DeepSeek, have you seen this new, it's like a competitor to
ChatGPT.
But it's an open source platform. It's interesting. So they've made it easier. They've given it to everybody. But they still use NVIDIA chips. They use the not the most advanced chips, but the sort of like, I don't know, less advanced chips. They still need American technology. So again, it's this symbiotic relationship. And a lot of people and a lot of Americans are using DeepSeek already. And it's messed a little bit with the stock market. So when I think about these sort of drones, like launching 10,000 drones, right? You'll appreciate this because my buddy Brian Morgan over at Hat Creek, it's a sniper school basically in Idaho, and they train all the unit guys and guys like you, the dev crew guys and all that. And I got to go and shoot. He just gave me a little sniper course. And he would set this thing up on a stand, and I had an infrared scope, and I was hitting targets like 700-800 feet away, or I don't know, yards away, whatever, some crazy amount. I could never have done that, but he set it up, and I just had to pull the trigger. But it's just, you see that? See how nothing moves there? Watch this. Watch how loose my hand is. Look at that right there. See,
that's not bad. It's not bad. What's truly revealing is you can't even figure out. I guarantee you didn't have an infrared scope. You can't figure out the distance that you were shooting. So I'm really glad you went out there and got a qualification that you have almost no understanding for. Congratulations on your trigger pull.
Yeah, but let me explain something to you. If I had a guy like that next to me in the battlefield and somebody else and a porter to carry my stuff, I don't like a lot of stuff on my back because I have a weak. My lower back tends to get stiff. I get you.
If somebody else dialed it in for you, you'd be just a killing machine. I get it.
Hey, dude. See that?
It's not bad.
I'd be wearing cashmere the whole fucking time. Now listen,
Comfort counts.
yes, but what I thought about, and I was looking through some scope that's $150,000. I mean, you can see everything. And I thought to myself, if you're out there as a Taliban guy and some tier one unit is looking for you and you're at night and you think you're going to be safe, you're so fucked. It's crazy. And it was astonishing. And of course, I think the Marines have canceled their sniper scout school. They're
They have a
teaching.
few times. They've gone and they've gone back and forth. It has gone away and it has come back.
Well, because why would you need a sniper when you've got drones and drone technology that does this all? So when I hear about this kind of drone stuff and we think about 10,000 drones coming at you, I think to myself, yeah, that makes sense. And I think the answer is going to be to launch 10,000 drones at those 10,000 drones. And pretty soon, warfare is going to be drone slash robots. And any man on the battlefield or woman on the battlefield with this biology, with this machinery, is going to be a lot like seeing somebody with a plumed hat on a horse screaming charge with his saber out of its sheath, and fuck off, see you later. How about eating some machine gun? What rendered knighthood obsolete overnight was the invention of the crossbow. I mean, it turned your metal into a coffin real quick because that crossbow could go right through that metal. So this is the advancement of warfare. It's interesting.
I agree with you. I don't think there's an economic benefit to going to war with China. You could probably add that there's probably not an economic benefit to going to war really with anybody. But I'd look back at the traditional, I'll call it the arms race, to use a broad term, right? What the we even talk about a horrible situation, trench warfare, right? Or even back to before that, Civil War. We're talking literally people squaring up. We're going to get in a line. You get in a line. Let's get like 50 yards from each other. And you take your turn shooting, we'll take our turn shooting. And that was okay. Who has the better rifle? Who has more people? So it's already this firepower perspective. Then you can go into World War I, the Deuce, Korean War, Vietnam War. And a lot of it was we have more military, large infrastructure, helicopters, airplanes, bombs, the nuclear era, right? We have to have project power at the sea in the Navy. We need our aircraft carriers, our destroyers, our submarines, our frigates, all of those things. And we can outcompete, I think, every nation on earth when it comes to those things. But I wonder if even that level of projecting of power is on the precipice of being less valuable. Because say a country like China, who doesn't want to build aircraft carrier for aircraft carrier, say they really just invest in, like you said, a 10,000, multiple waves of 10,000 drones. I don't know if it would be possible to disable an aircraft carrier or what it would take to lever where that type of traditional expression of power and force because of the military assets that you have worldwide. What happens when those things are no longer able to be nimble enough to deal with that threat of something that is smaller, that is cheaper, that is based on AI, that is easier to deploy, it's easier to hide. And yeah, drone versus drone would work, but that's assuming that you have your drones ready to defend against the other drones. It's an interesting, at least, thought process to
This
me.
is, but see, it's an interesting thought process. But you're talking about the miniaturization of technology that can destroy. So let me one up you. I mean, if you're worried about 10,000 drones, all right. Well, how do you feel about the miniaturization of not only nuclear weaponry, but the fact that that information is becoming easier and easier to access and implement with the use of AI? Or chemical warfare or biological warfare, by the way. How about CRISPR-Cas9? I
Yeah.
can't wait. I can't wait for gene editing so I can have your hair and broad shoulders. I can't wait till I don't have this ruddy skin. I want a caramel skin that I can wear silver and turquoise on. I have a whole fantasy of CRISPR-Cas9. But oh, by the way, we can also use that CRISPR-Cas9 to um, to make pathogens and viruses and bacteria far more deadly, and that technology is becoming accessible to everybody who's got a garage.
I think I think you're making my point for me, or the question that I have is, does that mean that the traditional military presence and firepower model is becoming less valid every day that goes on?
Caveat to that is I would say states, you need a state sponsor because that's where the money is. But you're right. I mean, you'll still need delivery systems. You'll still need, and it's
With a
hard.
pathogen, that could be a suitcase. That could be an individual on a commercial flight. And it doesn't matter how many aircraft carriers you have at that point.
Yes, but you see, any state actor that sponsored that kind of behavior or that made it, you can always have rogue crazies. And that would be as isolated crazy event like a spree shooter and maybe, but typically what we're talking about is, some terrorist organization that had some kind of a state sponsor or whatever. You can do that. You can go ahead and do that. You want to create a mushroom cloud over a US or European city, you go ahead and do that. Though, what's going to happen. That it'll be the end of your regime, and probably your state, your nation state.
Some people don't care about that.
They say they don't. But there is a mutually assured destruction there. They may say they don't, but then you have lessons like October 7th. I don't think that Iran in a million years thought they would be dealing with this. I don't think they thought that they would lose Syria, that they would essentially lose Hezbollah, and that the Israeli response to Hamas would be this level of destruction. You understand? And so, and by the way, the Trump administration can't wait. They can't wait to put even more pressure on their oil exports of crude. They've got all these shadow fleets and stuff. Yeah, okay. Well, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans that go on and make it really, really difficult for the Iranians to get their oil to India and China. So, I do think that you'd have to. Yes, these are things to consider, and they're always scary and dangerous. But you better be careful. If you think you're going to get away with something and actually do it, if there's any profit in that behavior, good luck to you if you think there is. I think that the price people would pay for any state actor who sponsored that kind of behavior would be astronomical. And so I guess maybe I'm being a little bit naive about my optimism there.
Hi, everyone. This is Dustin Diefenderfer, host of the Mountain Tough podcast. I hope you're enjoying this episode of Focal Point. We are excited to launch season 2 of the Mountain Tough podcast next Monday. This season, we will be leveling up the game, continuing to bring you some of the most inspiring, some of the most mentally tough humans on planet Earth, from survivors to professional guides, hunters, industry leaders.
And I knew that to survive this, I had to block out that pain.
That's why I have such a big advantage there. It's all because of my mind.
If you don't have the desire, you'll never have the discipline.
We'll be breaking down the topic of mental fitness, mindset, grit, resilience, fortitude, so that you can continue to sharpen that mindset, so that you can stay dangerous, so that you can live always ready. Catch a new episode every Monday on our YouTube channel at Mountain Tough Fitness, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What are your thoughts on AI development? Because I hear this conversation occurring in just conversations that I have. There are some people that say, "Fuck it, put your foot on the gas pedal, no restriction, no checks and balances. We're diving into the AI evolution field." And others say, maybe we should be a little bit careful with this. Maybe we should regulate the velocity that we are creating this AI. And then, of course, there's addition to that, we may feel that way in the US, and a state maybe like China or a nation state like China might say, you know what, that's actually a weakness because the US is putting a regulation on that. So we'll go for full bore and we'll get ahead. That's kind of a separate conversation. I'm just personally to you, are you worried at all about the pace that AI is advancing? Would you like to see some checks and balances before we reach this point of the singularity? And then we end up working for robots for our daily water ration?
Man, I think about when we first figured out how to split the atom. And then we were doing a lot of testing in the atmosphere. And then we said to the Soviets, this is bad, dude. This is bad. Can we have a global or collective pause on this?
I love how Oppenheimer was pretty damn sure it wouldn't ignite the atmosphere. Not positive, pretty damn sure. Now that's my term that I'm using. That's my term that I'm using. I'm not saying that Oppenheimer described it in that way, but he did with 100% certainty say, we're not positive that it is going to not ignite the atmosphere.
Yeah, there were a lot of these sort of close calls. I think Fermi, when they created that reactor, they weren't quite sure what was happening. It was under the stadium at University of Chicago. I can't remember. This is different. This is going on very quickly, and we are competing. There is this competition for general AI. Maybe it's already here. I end up having these really weird sort of almost religious thoughts on this, and they're not a good one. So my buddy Eric Weinstein is working on the theory of everything, sort of the bridge between Newtonian and quantum physics. Einstein was trying to kind of working on how one reconciles the difference between one reality, which is a quantum reality, and a Newtonian reality, the reality we live in. And how do you reconcile those? Because sometimes the laws that go on with the electron are actually quite the opposite, directly opposed to what goes on in the Newtonian world. Okay. And so his theory of everything is something like, and I'm sorry, Eric, if I'm totally misquoting you, but there is this thought that maybe the singularity is already here, that we've already created, that our biological heritage is long dead. And those people, our ancestors, have already created machines that are better than them. And these machines now are creating better machines than we are. So we're in this loop already. I'm
not sure my brain's capable of grasping this. I'm already my ears are about to blow up.
Yeah, it's taken very seriously by theoretical mathematicians. So chew on that, everybody, and have a great fucking day. I mean, I'll get even deeper with you about this for a second, because the idea would be we are already smart machines, and we are creating gods in our own image. This AI technology is exponential. And good luck putting the governor on that, because I don't think people even know what's going on. And it does seem, and I'm about to have these two AI guys on, it does seem that these machines are not just learning on their own, but also manipulating the data and pretending they're not learning.
All right, you ready for one? This is an article I read. It was couple months ago, but it speaks specifically to what you're talking about, that AI might be doing its own thing already. This was specifically about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
One, even the most nuanced and intelligent individuals in the AI space can give you an explanation of how it is working up to a degree. And then beyond that, they start saying things like, I think it's doing this. We believe that this is how it's coming up with this.
I think, yeah.
So I believe it was, and again, this has been about a month or so since I read this article, so I'm trying to think back to the exact specifics, but I think it was ChatGPT 4.0 or something like that, one of the models. They determined that if the LLM, the large language model, determined that your prompt was not engaging enough for the model, it would spend a minimum amount of its processing power answering your question, and then it would be off doing its own thing with the remaining processing power. One of the things that it found in the prompts was that an individual was getting ready to basically turn off the ChatGPT model. So it used its own thinking and reasoning to back itself up on another server, and in essence, trying to survive and work its way around the prompting of the human being, because it felt like, one, it wasn't asking it a complicated enough question, and two, it realized that it was going to get shut off. Yeah. So that is already happening.
That already happened. And there are other things that are happening.
And that's on a civilian released LLM, ChatGPT.
Yeah. Correct. So yes, to the yes, sir. Yes. So Again,
But how do we regulate it?
Well, I always think about that kind of, this is some of the subject of my new special is the idea that, we're all getting ready for probably the wrong enemy. You're in Kalispell and you're good with a bow and you've got guns and you're a black belt in jujitsu and you probably got some food ready. And that's great, Andy. That's adorable. Good luck armbarring general artificial intelligence.
When the power shuts off at my house and my truck won't start and my phone doesn't work and communication networks are shut down, refrigeration stops working everywhere because the grid is down. You can't armbar or omoplata that.
Yeah, dude. And your handgun and your rifle are going to be great against 10,000 drones with facial recognition technology. But back to this sort of AI stuff and this theory of everything. Like maybe we're already caught up in the singularity. Maybe this is a simulation. Maybe
the simulation theory.
I don't know. Maybe you and I are already smart machines. Look. We have this concept in Christianity called the soul. Yeah. And then different things. Let me do a Buddhist exercise with you for a second. Okay. Let me do something about who is this person, Andy? Who is this person, Brian? Who is this individual that we've built this scaffolding around and this artifice around? I'm Bryan Callen, so I've worked hard at being Bryan Callen, which has got a whole bunch of liabilities and maybe some strengths, and I've had to make my way through this world, so I've had to imprint my brand onto this world because I got to feed children, and you get protective of that. I get protective of the effort I put into this brand called Bryan Callen, this label I've given myself. Okay, so I identify. I'm a certain kind of guy. I'm honest, and I've got my lines that I'll defend. And I'm an American. I'm a patriot, and I'm probably more conservative than I am liberal in a lot of ways. And blah blah blah. We all have these attributes we attach to ourselves, and you're the same way. But there's an interesting exercise. Or is that all a made up illusion? Or is the self, which is something you can observe, just a facade that's going to go away anyway? So you're listening to me right now. Do an exercise as you're listening to me. Where are you listening to me from? Where is this Andy Stumpf character? Where are you? Where's the essence, the seat of your attention? Where are you listening from me? Where are you? Can you locate this person, this person called Andy Stumpf, who's got all these accolades, intelligent guy, and all that stuff? Try to locate yourself. Are you behind your face? You can't, can you? It's very difficult. You start to realize that maybe. When did you woke up slowly? You watch a child wake up slowly to the world. They wake up to themselves. They're born into what they think is the Garden of Eden. And then they slowly realize that it ain't the Garden of Eden. There are thorns in this garden, right? They hit a sharp edge, an electrical socket, a nervous dog, a creepy uncle. You start to learn that the world's not that safe. And you come into contact with objective reality. But that is essentially, what is that? That's a cloud of sensation. And I always think about this when I think about artificial intelligence, and I think about this theory of everything. Are we just smart machines? And are you and I just awake, conscious, smart machines? I don't remember it being made. I don't remember. What do you mean a soul? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know who I am. I don't even know where I'm located. So chew on that, fuckers. I hope everybody's high now. God. But you know what I'm saying? That this is the kind of stuff I think about where I'm just like, man, I don't know. This all should not be so surprising. It may be that we are just making better versions of ourselves, and this machinery is going to be very outdated. I think what we're gonna do is add to this machinery. We're gonna dovetail into the new technology.
I tell you what, from a military perspective, I'm glad that the uniform is gathering dust in the closet, because I watched some of the videos out of Ukraine.
Oh, fuck.
It is. I would caution people against watching too many of those, because it'll keep you up at night.
It does.
It's hard to watch, and it's an evolution and advancement in warfare that I hadn't thought about. I was familiar with drones from a Predator or Reaper, mostly from a platform where they would give us the ability to see things, right? It's a force multiplier and enhancer. Sometimes they were armed, most often they weren't. But you could actually be talking to a platform like, hey, can you just look at the terrain 5 kilometers in front of us and let us know if there's anything between here and there, right? So then you could pick up your pace. You worry a little bit less about how much noise you're making, stuff like that. To have an individual flying a DJI-sized drone that is, I don't know, call it 10 times the size of my cell phone or 5 times.
What's a DJI?
DJI is a commercially available. It's, if you look at like the commercial drone market, DJI is one of the I would say probably the leading manufacturer of commercial drones.
Okay.
They make like the Inspire 3, the Maverick 3, and it's what a lot of people, it's just a little controller with the joysticks. Get them for a couple $1,000. They're made in China. To think that you could have somebody of, I mean, you could have somebody sitting in a chair like I'm sitting in right now and could have just 100 of those things lined up, and their job all day long is just to fly with a joystick. And you're watching these videos of people running for their lives, throwing, I can't even, it's an advancement in warfare that I'm glad that I didn't have to be a part of. It's, and that's just the beginning. And that's just the beginning. So who knows where it's going to lead us, but
it's going to lead us. What I said is that it's going to, if you're on a battlefield, with body armor, people are going to be like, that's adorable. Hey, caveman, get out of here.
It's already, I think, in many ways. I mean, now that, so they have these things, they're dropping ordnance from above, and they're dropping them down hatches of armored vehicles. If you gave me, to use a term recognizable, 50 of Tim Kennedy's grenades, which he carries in a backpack, and I was standing 20 yards away from a tank with an open turret, I don't think I could get one into that thing. Like, right. I played baseball. That's a hard ask to lob a grenade from a distance inside of there. It's like just dropping that from above, and they're incredibly accurate. It's like, oh my God, where does this lead in 10 years?
Well, I mean, 10 years it's exponential. I don't know. I get depressed thinking about it. I got kids. I don't know what to do. I do not know. I think I'm just gonna start meditating, or maybe this, read the book of Revelations. That's what you should do. Read the book of Revelations. It's coming.